this session. So that recording has started. Awesome. Okay. So welcome everybody. Again, I've met most of you, if not all of you at this point. So my name is Allison Beebe. I'm the graduate admissions advisor here at SUNY Plattsburgh. And we are here this evening to go over all of the in-depth, wonderful details of the Fitness and Wellness Leadership program. And then of course, I also have Professor Ken Baldwin with me here today. So Ken, the bulk of this presentation, especially the first part, is yours. So I will pass things right over to you so we can get started.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the presentation and the webinar. My name is Ken Baldwin, and I'm an associate professor at SUNY Plattsburgh. I've been at SUNY Plattsburgh since 2007, I think it is, 2007. And before developing and overseeing the online master's degree in Fitness Wellness Leadership, I launched and started the bachelor degree in Fitness and Wellness Leadership for all of our on-site bachelor degree students. And my colleague, Andres Tomatis, took over in 2016 the bachelor degree, and the online mastery in Fitness and Wellness Leadership officially started in the fall 2016. And we have had really, I think, a tremendous response. It's gone really, really well. We've had students from, of course, in New York, but we've also had students from other states around the country. We've had students in Asia, in Europe, and in some of the Caribbean islands. So we have a very diverse group of students from in the United States and international. So just a little bit of my background. Before I started teaching, after college, undergrad, I started my own personal training fitness business. Now, when I first started it, I was only expecting it just to be just me, like a kind of a solo fitness business, but my personal training schedule grew pretty quickly. So after about 8 months, I already was training 35 to 40 sessions a week. And so I asked my accountant, I was like, hey, you know, my 7 a.m. in the morning, my 8 a.m., my late afternoons, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, they're all taken. What can I do? And he said, well, why don't you look at hiring people? So I put an ad in the local paper in Boston, Massachusetts, where that's the area I'm originally from, and had a really good turnout. And so I started hiring trainers, personal trainers, group exercise instructors. I hired some clinical exercise physiologists that had a cardiac rehab background. I hired 2 physical therapists, 2 registered dietitians, athletic trainers, and strength conditioning coaches. And the company was called Premier Fitness, and it was called Personal Training and Health for Everyone. And we were able to train clients from 7 years old, strength training programs for 7-year-old children, all the way up to 90-year-old adults, and everybody in between. So it's like corporate executives, college professional athletes, everything. And so the company, I set it up so that we had a retirement plan, health plan, educational expense for the employees. And I eventually, after 3 years, I hired 10 full-time staff members and 5 part-time ones. So the business grew dramatically in a very short period of time. So I just wanted to let you know, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I have a background in starting my business and working one-on-one with clients of all different age groups. And I've been able to help our graduate degree students that are interested in starting their own fitness business. And usually what we found is about 70% of our students want to, in the future, start their own personal training or fitness business. And I've been able to help a lot of our students successfully do that. And I'll go over that a little bit later. So on a national level, I've been chair of IDEA's National Personal Trainer Committee, and you'll learn in the degree program, maybe you know now, IDEA is one of the largest fitness professional organizations in the United States. I mentioned I'm from Massachusetts. I really enjoyed working and training older adults, and I got nominated to be on the Massachusetts Governance Committee on Physical Fitness and Sports, and I was chair of the Senior Fitness Subcommittee, and we were in charge of the Senior Fitness Conference. And I was in charge of 15 people in that committee, and I was probably the youngest person on the committee. I mean, I was just a few years after college, and here I am the youngest person on an older adult fitness committee, but I loved working with older adults, and in a short period of time, I was known for training older adults. And then these are other organizations that I've served on. ACSM stands for American College of Sports Medicine, and I was on their personal trainer committee. I also helped work on creating ACSM's personal trainer certification exam. So in one of the courses in the degree program, we specifically prepare students to take ACSM's personal trainer exam. And on a national level, I think the pass rate's somewhere around 70%, and our students' pass rate for that certification exam is around 94%, taking it the first time. And so I'm able to kind of give our students really the insights on how to prepare and take that examination. And I've served on other organizations like APERD, SHAPE, Medical Fitness Association, to name a few. And while on ACSM, I was asked by ACSM to lead and be the senior editor for the personal training textbook that, if you take this specific course, it's a newer edition, but I wrote the second edition it's called ACSM's Resources Manual for the Personal Trainer, and it prepares you specifically for that exam. And I was a senior editor and lead author for that textbook. And then when I was in Boston, personal training, I won Boston's Best Personal Trainer of the Year 3 times, and I also won IDEA's National Personal Trainer of the Year award. So that's all my background, and I love the fitness industry. It's been incredibly fulfilling experience, and I really feel like this is just the industry is actually just in the infancy stages. And now that we have the mastery and the quality of education that's available, we're able to help students that otherwise wouldn't be able to go to an on-site brick and mortar campus, and we're able to train and educate somebody from the confines of their home or workplace that they're in. So that's all my background. I'm looking forward to going over the rest of the presentation. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, Allison. Okay, so here's just some highlights on the degree program. I'm often asked, well, is everything really online? And yes, every course is 100% online, including a field internship course that we have. It's an optional course. You don't need to do the internship, but it's available to you at any point. Even if you graduate with the degree program, you can take the internship course later on. And you might ask, well, why would I do an internship course later on? Well, you might decide that you want to move to a different area of the country. Let's say you're in New York right now, and you go through the degree program, and let's say you are working in a health fitness facility, but let's say it's 5 or 6 years from this point in time, and you may decide that you want to be in a warmer climate like North Carolina, South Carolina, or Florida, or Georgia, or Alabama, and you could do an internship in one of those states. And it's a fairly easy process. We get in touch with the internship site, we send them a contract, we get that contract signed so that you're protected when you are doing your internship in that facility. So some students will come back and take that course, and it's been really helpful. And also those students are interested in maybe getting a little bit more diversified education in that area. And it only takes 10 required courses to complete the degree. On a slide coming up, I'll be going through each of the courses. The majority of our students, I would say, take 2 classes each semester. And we actually created a very unique template so that a lot of the required courses, well, all the required courses are offered specific times of the year. So we have courses that are offered not only in the traditional fall and spring semester, but we have 2 required courses that are only offered during the winter break. And then we have 2 required courses that are offered in the summertime semester. So technically, a student can start the degree and complete the degree within 4 semesters or a full calendar year. And so it really goes by pretty quickly. Other students will take 1 course at a time, and some students will take 4 courses per semester, and they'll take the 2 winter courses, and then they'll take the two summer courses, and then they're able to finish in 1 year. So it's very doable. And so that's a little bit on how that timeline works. And I think it'll make more sense when we go over the courses, all the courses, so you can see them mapped out. Okay. So here's a little bit of our I'm often asked, like, well, where did the students come from? And 70% of the students are currently in the fitness health industry. So they might, or I should say medical industry. So we have students that are personal trainers, group exercise instructors, physical education teachers, athletic trainers, strength conditioning coaches, fitness managers, fitness business owners, yoga instructors, Pilates. We've actually had 4 dance instructors in the degree program the last 3 semesters, and one of the dance instructors owns their own dance studio in the state of Maryland, and their goal is to add on a fitness health component as part of their dance studio, to be able to design exercise programs and screen the dancers on a battery of tests just to make sure they're healthy and fit, and then designing a strength and flexibility program for them, as well as cardiovascular. And they're going to incorporate a medical component with working with having physicians refer their patients to them that might implement dance as part of an overall functional unique exercise program design. And so that's a little bit over the current students. And then also 30% of the students are those students that are in a totally different career right now, and they want to switch. Into working in the fitness health industry. So we might have students that might come from a communication background, accounting background, law enforcement, military background. We've had, this is really funny, but one of my best students was a veterinary doctor that was a professor at another university outside the state. And she was also in the medical corps in the canine division. So here she is, a medical professor, and so it was very interesting, of course, our first meeting when I scheduled my interview with her, because she was explaining to me how she wanted to understand the biomechanics of human movement and how to apply the biomechanics of human movement to the biomechanics of the movement of the canine dogs that she was training and preparing for the endurance of the work that they do on a daily basis. And she also wanted to see the physiological side of things, because for so many years, she's been focused on animals and canines and dogs. She wanted to see the other side of how the human body works, and then also the assessments that we do. So the assessments. And so it was really interesting because the assessments that she learned in the degree program was able to help her so that the people that were working with the canines and the dogs, she was able to teach them biomechanically how to hold on to the leashes, how to protect the military personnel, how to protect their shoulder, elbow, and wrist alignment when they were working with dogs on a daily basis, and how to take care of their body while they were doing some strenuous work at certain times. Because sometimes when we see let's say a military dog, we don't realize that they might be out in the field doing some dangerous work. So she was able to apply what she learned in this degree into that. So you can kind of get an idea that we have some, really diverse background of students. And I love it, because when I'm doing grading homework assignments, I'm getting a chance to see responses from students that have a background maybe in the industry, but then I'm also getting to see the perspective of students that are coming from a completely different industry or area, that are looking, how can they get themselves situated so they're successful when they eventually want to switch full time and enter the fitness health industry on a full-time basis. Oh, I was just going to also add, Allison, and just so you have an idea, the kind of around the average age of the students is in their 30s. So we might have students that are in the degree program right from their undergraduate degree. So they might be 21, 22, 23 years old. And then we have students that might be in their 40s or 50s that are in the degree program, wishing to get back for career advancement, or again, to switch careers. Okay, I think that's it for that slide. Okay, so here's an overview of the overall of the courses. So we teach you the exercise sciences, so that can include exercise physiology, pulmonary function, muscular physiology, and neurology. So I know it sounds kind of technical, but we create the courses so they are designed in, I would just say layman terms. It's in a way so that it's easy to understand and stay focused on understanding the major concepts, the concepts that are going to be important for you when you're dealing with an individual client or a group of clients, or let's say, when I say group, it could be a group of athletes, or it could be, let's say, a group of older adults that are doing aquatic exercise in the pool. Or you might be training or working with a group of students that are elementary school students that are in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, or middle school, or they might be in junior high school or high school. So it's learning how to apply the concepts. And I always like to make sure that we're working on the educational part of things. So when I was training my clients, whenever I had a session with them, I always kind of made sure that I was teaching them one or two concepts. So I always kind of coined the phrase educationally based personal training sessions, so that every time a client would come in, they were getting educated by me, or if my staff was working with their clients or patients, they were getting educated by them. And we used a lot of research studies and would educate our clients on research studies. So even, let's say, I'll give you an example. So let's say I was training, let's say, a 35-year-old corporate executive, and let's say they were female. Well, I might bring in a research study that is going over strength training for older adults, as an example. Let's say a 12-week study that analyzed functional strength in older adults, where they had to do leg presses, leg extension, leg curls, things like that. And at the end of the study, they were able to show that the strength of the older adults improved. The older adults were able to improve their gait or their walking ability through testing on a treadmill. So they were able to increase their speed. Let's say the older adults could only go walk 1 mile per hour safely. But by the end of the 12-week study, they could go 3 miles per hour. Let's say some of the older adults that were using canes or walkers, in the beginning of the study, they couldn't even get on the treadmill to walk. But by the end of the study, they were able to actually get on the treadmill and get assessed. So I would present this study to the clients, but I would leave the study, a copy of it, at the front desk so my staff could review it. And my staff would then go over that study with their clients and patients. And so why does it apply to a 35-year-old person that's being trained? Well, if they read this article, they might say, well, you know what? Hey, my parents are 60 years old and they don't really exercise. Maybe, what do you think of my parents starting to personal train with you? What do you think of that? So we were able to use this research studies not only to educate our clients, but also to be able to bring in more clients to help other people in the community that could really improve or just get started in exercise again. So it really helped us. So we go over that in the degree program of how, how do you help yourself build a successful client base? How are you able to, attract people to you? And how can you educate your clients? So we teach you these concepts in the degree program. The fitness assessments and health screening is very important. And I kind of tie it down to the bullet down below, medically based fitness model. And I look at it this way. Every client that ever came in the front door, I found 50% of them had some type of musculoskeletal issue. So it could have been a knee, a hip, a wrist, because they're on the computer all day long. But the majority of the clients that came in through the front door usually had a back problem or neck problem because they were working on the computer quite a bit. So early on, I started to incorporate assessments focusing on posture and body alignment, like taking pictures of clients before we started training them, of having them in the seated position and standing position, so that I could show them what their posture looked like before we started the exercise program. Because part of the goal is, we're not going to teach you a resistance training movement, a strength training movement that's going to make your alignment worse. We want to make sure that we're correcting your body alignment based on the imbalances that are currently in your body. So we would take pictures to show the client after every training session, especially if their posture was bad. We would show them the before and after pictures. So after 10 weeks, you could line up when they came in the first day to what the picture looked like 10 weeks later, if we were training them 2 or 3 times a week, so they could see the difference. And especially, within the course, I show you examples of a 12-year-old that I trained that probably had the worst posture you can imagine. He had an exaggerated kyphotic curve, an exaggerated lordotic curve. And if you see what he looked like at 12 years old, you won't believe it. But when you see what he looks like after only 3 weeks of the difference, you'll be like, wow, I didn't realize resistance training can do this, how it can help balance the body. So we go through exercise movements on how to balance the person. So if their goal is for strength, if their goal is to gain more strength, we want to make sure that we have a foundation built for them to gain more strength successfully and safely, because we don't want them to be doing heavy lifting exercise like squats or deadlifts, as an example, if they don't have their alignment intact first. So hopefully that makes sense. Another thing is that you want to look at maybe designing exercise programs for all ages. So we have students in the degree program that are licensed athletic trainers. They might be college strength conditioning coaches. But when they go through the courses and program, it kind of opens their eyes up to maybe in the future, 5 or 6 years, 10 years from now, maybe they don't really necessarily want to be training athletes anymore. They want to diversify the populations they work with. So I'm really happy because, as an example, I have a strength conditioning coach that's in the older adult fitness class I'm teaching this semester. And he's really interested in working with older adults in his off times on the weekends and early in the mornings when he's not scheduled to be working with the athletes. So he's really interested in working with athletes. He's really interested in working with older adults along with the college athletes that he's working with during the regular school year. Business courses, fitness management, entrepreneurship, I kind of put them all together because this is kind of one of the areas that typically most exercise science or kinesiology mastery programs, they'll just kind of go over the exercise science portion of the degree, exercise physiology courses within the degree, but they don't really have the background and they don't really go over the fitness management concepts or the marketing or advertising or the accounting, the management areas, the things that you really need to know in order to have a successful long-term career in the health and fitness industry. I've met a lot of athletic trainers, strength conditioning coaches, and personal trainers that sometimes they have a difficult time creating a course or program, creating a group exercise class, developing a client base, and they're held back on understanding how to do it. So we go through the degree program, examples for you to learn, like real life examples, but within the coursework and the projects that you complete, everything's working on your creativity to think about how your career is going to develop, how you're going to be successful, and then how you can how you can be creative at all times and think about every day you wake up and you say, hey, what's something that I can do to make my business more successful and my clients more happy? How can I retain them? But then also, you might have an idea in creating a new exercise program. So has anyone, I guess, maybe you can answer later, but has anyone ever taken a Zumba class or taken a spinning class? Well, somebody created those courses, those programs. So I've met these people that have created these programs, and it all starts with an idea. So you might have an idea in your head that might be like, wow, maybe I'm going to do a program like functional strength training program in the water for athletes, or maybe something that works on balance and conditioning in the water, or something that's a combination of both where you're training in the water and on land. There might be something that is in your mind that you don't think you can do, but I think through the coursework, you gain more confidence and that you work on projects that specifically will help you obtain your goals later on. So I'm always flexible in my courses where I tell the students during the phone interview, if after you read a project and there's something you want to tweak in it, feel free to contact me early in the semester, not maybe a week before the project's due, but you would contact me a couple of weeks into the semester and say, hey, I read through the project. What do you think about me doing this or that? And I don't have a problem with that. If it's going to help you in the long run to, be successful, then that's a good thing. Then you're going to learn about leadership and communication. I sent a survey out to 3 organizations where I have really good relationships with and ties. And I was able to get feedback from hundreds of general managers, fitness managers, and fitness professionals from these 3 different organizations. And I was able to obtain data on what specifically they felt should be incorporated in degree programs, both at the bachelor and master degree. And so the courses that we put in this degree program, of course, reflect what they felt should be in the coursework in a mastery program, but also they mentioned that the leadership and communication was very important. So we wanted to make sure in an online degree, well, how do you get somebody to learn how to communicate better? Well, one thing that I like to do in the course that I teach is I can tell you this, you do write a lot, you have weekly homework assignments where you're responding to 1 to 4 questions per week. And I have found every single student that starts in the degree program, by the time they graduate, their writing has improved 150%. Where you're such a good writer, you would be able to write a fitness blog without a doubt. It's just whether you want to get involved in that area. Then the other thing is that I incorporated within courses that you do videos to be able to demonstrate exercise movements and demonstrate assessments, so that you're working on your communication skills. And also you're learning how to do a video, an exercise video, a short one. It can be anywhere from 90 seconds to 3 minutes, so that you're doing a video demonstrating exercise movement on a subject, or you're demonstrating yourself, so that you're working on your communication skills. Plus, in this, I would say, in this day and age, you want to be able to do some videos that you can post and create a social media channel network, either through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, so that you're able to reach a broad audience, not just in the state that you live in, but on an international level. So a lot of the students in the last couple of years, especially during the virus, I've had many students develop and create successful virtual online businesses. And they had things structured in place before the virus, but luckily they were prepared. So when the virus came, they transferred their business from 100% on-site brick and mortar to 50% training on-site to 50% virtual online training. And I've been asking my bachelor's degree students from 12 years ago to look at creating online virtual businesses. So luckily a lot of them, did that, and they were prepared when we went through this kind of terrible, last couple of years, coming up on a couple of years now. So that's, hope I'm not talking too much, but hopefully you're getting an idea of how we create the courses, and how I want you to be able to understand how the courses and the materials are going to help shape your career. Okay, is that a hand raised? Well, I'll answer questions at the end, Terry, okay? I see your fingers there. Okay, Alison, you want to go to the next slide? Okay, that hand's distracting me, Terry. I can see it. All right, so these are several of the certifications that you've been prepared for when you are going through the degree program. So as I mentioned, the Fit 540 Advanced Personal Training course, that will prepare you for ACSM Certified Personal Trainer exam. The Fit 560 Sports Performance and Athletic Training course, that will prepare you for the NFCA's Certified Strength Conditioning Specialist certification exam. The Fitness Management Entrepreneurship course, in combination with a few other courses, will prepare you for the Medical Fitness Association's Fitness Facility Director certification. And then the older adult, Fit 550, the older adult gerontology course will prepare you for the Senior Fitness Association certification exam. Okay, so I think you can go to the next slide, because I want to be able to answer everyone's questions. Okay, and this is an outline of the courses. So on the left are 9 of the primary courses. Those are all required courses. And then on the right, Fit 540, Advanced Personal Fitness Training, Fit 550, Older Adult Fitness Gerontology, and Fit 560, Athletic and Sports Performance. The students have to select one of those to be able to complete their 10 courses. Now, I'll just give you an example. We've been flexible where in some cases, if a student, let's say, is a registered dietitian, they have a nutrition background, we might waive if you look in the left column, the Fit 530 Nutrition for Fitness Professionals. So if somebody's already a registered dietitian and they've taken multiple credits in nutrition courses. Well, we want them not to take another nutrition course. So we give them the flexibility where a student might take another specialization. So a registered dietitian might take Fit 540, advanced personal training. And if they're working in older adult meal planning, they might take Fit 550 as an example. If the registered dietitian's working with a younger audience, they might take Fit 540, and then they might take Fit 560 because they're going to be working with not only athletes, but they're also going to be working the general population. And that's a nice combination for registered dietitians because it's often very difficult to build a nutrition client base. And it's a little bit easier for the nutritionist to expand their client base by doing personal training and then also supplementing the education of the client with the nutrition background that they have. So let's go through each course. So Fit 501 is Fitness Leadership and Professionalism. Fit 505, Advanced Exercise Physiology and Kinesiology. It's probably the most intense exercise science-based course because we're going over physiology and kinesiology. But I can kind of tell you that all of the information in that course, at some point, your clients are probably going to need you to have a very good understanding in that area. And I forgot to mention, so when I mentioned 50% of the clients that I had some type of musculoskeletal issue, and then the other 50% had some type of physiological health issue. And I always bring this up an example just so you have an idea. When I was teaching the bachelor's students as freshmen, they are coming in as 18-year-old or 19-year-old students. In their class might be 20 students in the class, and everyone looks so healthy at 20 years old. Everyone you look out in the class, everyone's like, everyone's so healthy and young. But I always would have my students fill out a health medical form. So before we went into the fitness center, before I start teaching them exercise movements, they would fill out a form, and then I reviewed them before we went into the fitness center. And I would always see a student that might have a back problem. They might have torn their ACL playing tennis or basketball. So I wanted to make sure that I had special care for them and not have them just, jump out and start doing some of these exercise movements. I would talk to them beforehand. And then the other thing is the other 50% of the students might have some type of physiological disease. So I might have a student with type 2 diabetes. They might have a heart murmur, a heart condition. So even though somebody looks healthy, you never really know. So it's very important for you to learn how to screen clients and keep them up to date on their medications, because as they start exercising, getting healthier, they might be on high cholesterol medication or high blood pressure. And as they start training, maybe 4 or 5 weeks later, you might have to recommend that they go and meet with their primary care physician or their medical doctor, because I've found that the medications usually get reduced or they go off the medications completely. So you don't want a client taking medications of high blood pressure and high cholesterol medication for a whole year while they wait to take their physical. You need to have that, that's kind of what you'll learn in the program. You want to make sure that they are getting regular checkups, and it might have to be every 3 months or every 6 months, depending on how quickly they're getting fit based on your program design. Then developing health fitness alliances. This is important because it helps you to learn how to partner or develop alliances with other organizations. So when I ran my company, I partnered with different fitness equipment companies. I was able to forge a partnership with Harvard Pilgrim HMO, which had 1 million people in their healthcare network. They were part of that HMO health insurance. And once I partnered with them, I had tons of referrals from the physicians within that HMO. So in that course, I'll kind of teach you how to develop relationships, alliances, and what gets involved in the contracts that have to get developed or created, and how to review those contracts. 515 goes over health screening and fitness assessments, and in that course, you'll learn how to do posture assessments, goniometry assessments, and how to review the results and communicate the results with your clients. Fit 520 goes over biomechanics of resistance training. So in that class, you'll learn how to analyze an exercise movement, whether it's a body weight exercise, how to analyze the modalities, whether you're teaching your clients to do body weight movements, using dumbbells, using resistance training and commercial strength training machines, using a TRX or other type of suspension trainer, analyzing biomechanics and water training. It all kind of applies. So if you learn how to do a lunge or a squat correctly, and how to make sure your clients aren't doing them incorrectly, you're going to save them maybe from developing a herniated disc later on in life. So what you want to teach them is not only how to do resistance training, but how to apply that biomechanical moving patterns to their everyday living. So how to do activities of daily living safely so that you don't hurt your back when you're emptying your dishwasher, getting in and out of your car. I always apply the concepts of strength training and resistance training to my clients' everyday life. And so if you do that, it's just another area which you can create a holistic health program for them. And they're going to appreciate that because they're going to refer more of their friends and family members to you. Fit 525 is fitness management entrepreneurship. In that course, we go over how to start your own fitness business and how to analyze existing businesses. Fit 530 goes over nutrition, nutrition guidelines for your clients and understanding meal planning. Fit 585 goes over research methods, how to analyze the research studies that you may have your clients read. So you want to review them first to see if the research study is a good quality one. Did the research study only have 5 people to participate in the study, or did they have a good volume of 20 or 25 participants in the study? So you want to be able to look at a research study and see if what you are reading is really a good study. And oftentimes, the way a research study in fitness usually will come out of a faculty member that's part of the American College of Sports Medicine and has done a study. They'll publish it in an ACSM journal. It might get highlighted in an ACSM position statement, and then a magazine that you might be familiar with, like Shape Magazine or Muscle and Fitness, kind of those popular magazines that are on the magazine racks if you go to a grocery store or in like a CVS or Walgreens, something like that. A research study that is done at a college university setting eventually will make its way to Shape Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, Men's Health, and then CNN, MSNBC will pick it up. So there's a pathway in which the research that's done by faculty at universities will make its way into the public's eye. So I see it all the time. I see that all the time. And so I just want you to kind of understand how that works. And then Fit 590 is kind of like our capstone course. That's going over, it's called self-assessment in fitness. In that course, you work on projects, and you work on a project on research, social media, and then kind of business and communication. Okay, so that's an overview of the course. And I already talked about the field internship. It's an optional course, and that can be conducted during the winter or summer semester. And usually it's a good idea to contact me directly, probably 3 or 4 months in advance if you want to do an internship. The reason is usually the contract gets signed fairly quickly between the university and the internship site. But sometimes if it's like a medically based fitness site, which we just signed one, and one of my former students is actually the general manager of this medically based fitness center now. She wanted to have interns from our program intern at her facility, but it took 6 months for the hospitals, for her hospital to edit the contract, and it took a time for our lawyers at SUNY Plattsburgh to review them and approve them. So it took 6 months, but we finally got it signed, so she can take interns now. So that's why we want to get, if you have a site in mind, you just let me know a few months in advance so that I can reach out to the site and email them the contract. Okay. Next slide. Okay. Oh, okay. We're going over internships. Well, we have a good relationship with Equinox Fitness Facilities. So when I was running my facility back in kind of like the late 1990s, Equinox only had 3 fitness facilities in downtown New York area. Now Equinox has facilities in Boston, Connecticut, New York, Miami, California. Plus they have a lot of facilities in New York, quite a bit. And I'm lucky because one of my students was able to work his way at an Equinox facility in New York, and eventually he was training multiple trainers in 3 to 4 or 5 different facilities in Equinox, and he did so well he got moved out to California to the Newport branch and other California facilities and was training the Equinox trainers out there on how to build a client base. So I had him as a bachelor degree student, and I had him in the master degree program too. So he just finished the online master degree last semester. Okay. Let's go next slide. Okay, so do you want me to go over this, Allison, or?
Totally up to you. I can run through it, or if you are.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Okay, actually, yeah, I'll go through this real quick. So, the bachelor degree, is required from an accredited university. The minimum GPA is 2.5. If you happen to have a GPA below 2.5, you would just need to let me know, and then we request, instead of 3 recommendations, we request 5 recommendations. So if your GPA is a little bit below that, then you would be putting your resume together and posting that, an updated resume from the online system, and then a 1 or 2 page statement of purpose of what your goals would be and what you'd like to accomplish within your personal statement, and upload that. And then all of your college transcripts get uploaded. I'm sure Allison can talk a little bit about that. The 3 letters of recommendation, that's kind of an automated process. And then you would schedule a phone interview with me or one of my colleagues, but probably with me. And just real quickly, for the application deadlines are for the fall semester of 2022 would be June 1st. If you're interested in starting this winter semester or spring semester, your application will be due by November 1st. Okay, so we have we're kind of reviewing the final applications right now, and so feel free to. It's not too hard. You can probably get everything in if you worked on it over the weekend or so. But we offer 2 winter courses that are only offered in the winter, so you may want to get your application materials in so you can take 1 or 2 winter courses this winter semester. And then, of course, you'd be able to start the spring semester if you can get everything in by November 1st. And then if you're interested in starting the summer semester, which usually begins around May 25th each year, you would need to get your application in by April 1st. So we have kind of 4 different start times and then 3 different points in which your applications get due. So that's everything. Now I think Allison can take over. Is there anything you want to go over, Allison, about, because I know I do get questions sometimes about transcripts and uploading them and the recommendations. Maybe you could explain that to the potential students.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to throw this next slide up here and we can chat about that. So the one thing I don't have listed on this particular slide is the transcript. So we need every transcript that you have. So every college level course that you've taken, whether it's undergraduate, previous graduate work, college courses you took while you were still in high school, we'll take them all. And they do need to be official transcripts. So you're going to need to get a hold of the registrar's office of whomever awarded those credits. Usually most universities now have an online portal on their registrar's office website. So start there. If not, you may have to make a phone call, but then you'll just request that their registrar's office emails or mails or electronically uploads, whatever they do, your transcripts over to us in the SUNY Plattsburgh admissions office. So unfortunately, we can't accept any copies that you've printed off your portal or any that you have personally that were official at one point. They have to come to Plattsburgh directly from the university that awarded credit. So that one's a little bit tricky. Some other kind of tips and tricks that I have for you regarding resumes and recommendations. For your resume, most updated version of your resume that you have, and if you have the ability to tailor that resume to this program at all based on work experience, volunteer work, other activities that you've done, I would encourage you to do that. But just a good updated copy of your resume is also a good way to go. For your recommendations, learn from my mistakes. So if you are looking for your recommenders, one thing to note with our online application, that is where you'll put the actual recommenders in. So we'll be looking for their name, their email, and their phone number. have a conversation with those folks before you give us their contact information. The way that the application is set up right now, as soon as you type their email address into the form, before you've even submitted your application, it's going to send out an email to your recommender and say, hey, we would like you to submit a recommendation for this person. So if you've not had that conversation with them yet, then they will be surprised by that. I know one of my recommenders, I had to catch them very quickly with a phone call because I didn't realize that was going to happen. So I now warn everybody about this. So make sure you're having those conversations with your recommenders ahead of time before you throw their information into your application. And then always good for a proofread across the board too, whether it's on your statement of purpose or your resume or any documents that you're typing up to submit. Have someone whose language skills you trust take a good look over those documents for spelling and punctuation and content and all that good stuff. Always good to have a second set of eyes. All right, so let's quickly go over some funding opportunities. As many of you know, funding at the graduate level is much different than the undergraduate level. So for those of you who are going to be going into a master's program for the first time, this is probably all brand new information and it can be a little bit tricky to navigate. So especially if any of you, I know I have a lot of out-of-state folks in the call today, but especially if I have any New York State folks here, one big thing to know is your federal TAP and Pell is gone at the graduate level, which is kind of a bummer. But I would still encourage you to fill out your FAFSA. That's going to make you eligible for any federal aid. And if we need to take out loans, generally federal loans are nice because they have those nice low interest rates and good forgiveness programs. So your FAFSA will still give you access to those types of loans at the master's and graduate level. So fill those out. Our financial aid office is great. Their contact information is here. So if you want to take a photo, jot this information down, take a screenshot, they're wonderful. If you ever want to have a one-on-one conversation with them about any of the funding that you may run into, what your totals are going to be. I know their website can be a little bit tricky when you're trying to navigate exactly which total applies to you based on if you're in or out of state, if you're full or part-time, all of that good stuff. So if you want to chat with them, you can always give them a call, but also right on their webpage, they have a button where you can schedule Zoom meetings with them, and it's all the scheduling's done right online. You can find a time that works for everybody's schedule, and then they can have a one-on-one Zoom with you where you can actually share documents and things like that. So that makes that a little bit easier to break all of the hard numbers down and get your head wrapped around that too. So I'd recommend chatting with them. But there are another couple of funding opportunities that we do offer through Plattsburgh as well. One of them is graduate assistantships. Now, it's important to note, especially with this program where a lot of folks are out of state, off campus, and part-time. This program, we don't see a lot of graduate assistantships, but it's worth mentioning for anyone that it might be applicable for. If you are in the Plattsburgh area and you're going to be a full-time student, you could potentially land a graduate assistantship. This is essentially a part-time job on campus. It's usually 10 to 20 hours a week. And our graduate assistants have their tuition completely covered, and they also get a stipend, so a paycheck biweekly as well. There are graduate assistantship opportunities in a lot of different offices on campus. We have a graduate assistant in the admissions office. Several of the programs host them, both kind of on the research end and on the admin end. And then we also have places like housing on campus. And if you're looking to live on campus and you land the housing graduate assistantship, your housing is also paid for. So if you're local and you're thinking about doing this program full-time, you can still qualify for this program. And we can always have a conversation afterwards if you have specific questions about it too. The funding opportunity that's a little bit more applicable to fitness and wellness leadership is going to be a diversity fellowship. So you do still have to be part-time, but you can be, or full-time, excuse me, but you can be anywhere in the world that you want to be and still qualify for a diversity fellowship. With this program, we ask that students write on their application 400 words or less about how you feel you can bring diversity to the fitness and wellness leadership program, whatever that means to you. And then we review those applications and we select 6 people every year. 3 have partial tuition scholarships and 3 have full tuition scholarships. And this is just a fellowship, or it's similar to a grant that's awarded to you. So there's nothing additional that you're required to do after receiving that fellowship. That will just cover your tuition either partially or fully for 1 full year. And again, you do have to be a full-time student for this one. Any questions about either of those funding opportunities before I move on to some last minute things here? I'll keep an eye on the chat, or if you want to raise a hand, I can call on you as well. Oh, I
Hey,
heard.
Allison, thanks for bringing up the diversity fellowship, because one of my students was able to obtain that, and I believe it was the full grant, and he had the entire degree program taken care of. So that was, he did. I mean, he worked really hard. He was just really a great student, and we keep in touch. So yeah, so he got that diversity fellowship. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this program, because if you're a full-time student, you can realistically do the program in a year, and the diversity fellowship covers a year's worth of tuition. So you can really have your entire tuition covered for the program. And then you're kind of just left with any books and fees, which is minimal at the graduate level. So that's kind of an exciting option too. And then looks like we have a hand raised. Go right ahead.
So my question was for the assistantship, would they only cover your housing if it's on campus? Is it off campus as well, or no?
Only on campus, and only specifically for the graduate assistants who work in the housing office. So they actually live in the apartments in the dorms. So if you are granted that specific position, then you can live in the dorms for free. Good question.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else before we move on from funding opportunities? Okay, and I promise I'll save time at the end for any questions as well, but we'll keep on moving through here. The other thing I wanted to specifically call out today too is there are lots and lots of opportunities to meet one-on-one with us. So whether you're looking to meet with myself or a member of the graduate team, or meet with Professor Baldwin, we have both on-campus and virtual appointments that we offer. So easiest way usually to do that is just to email one or both of us if you want to meet with someone, and we can have those one-on-one conversations. My schedule is pretty open. That's a big part of what I do. So if you wanted to specifically chat about any documents that maybe you need to submit, or any aspects of the program, we can always set up a Zoom call, a walk-in appointment, something over the phone, whatever works best for your schedule. Almost all of you have already met with me, so I know this is pretty common knowledge at this point, but we are always happy to meet with you and answer any questions. So know that's available. Again, emailing us is the best way, but you can also find all of the at least graduate admission availability for appointments right on the website too. So if you're kind of curious as to what our schedules look like, you can always look there too. And one big piece of advice that I would have for all of you is to stay connected. With this program being completely online and everyone being spread out all over the place, one of the best ways to kind of keep in contact with what's going on the main campus, and often with a lot of our programs as well, especially in COVID world that we're still kind of living in, is to add us on social media, keep an eye on the website. I know much of social media currently is not working, but we do have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all of the things. So add us on there so you can stay up to date with what's going on at Plattsburgh. All right, as promised, some time for general questions. So just as a note too here, before I forget, both of the contact information, email, phone for Professor Baldwin and myself is on here. If you don't already have this information, I'm sure all of you have my email by now because you get lots of annoying emails from me. But if you are looking for my phone, or you want to take a screenshot of the general graduate email, which is the one that's up here, go ahead and grab that. And then any last minute questions, please feel free to throw those in the chat or raise your hand and we can answer those. And while we're waiting for any last minute questions to potentially come into the chat, Ken, is there anything that I missed that we should go over?
You really went over everything in detail. Yeah, it's very good. I'm trying to think. Well, of course, I mean, I have office hours every week. So when you are actually in the degree program, it's very easy to schedule with me. So it's every Wednesday, every Wednesday evening. I have the hours because everyone's really working full time, or our students might have families. So they're working and have families, or they're working full time. So I usually keep my office hours later than usual. So it's not, 10 in the morning or 11 in the morning. It's usually around 5 at night, 6 o'clock at night. on a Wednesday. And then I just ask that you email me in advance, and then it's really easy to schedule. And I will say this, I keep in touch with all the current students and all the graduate students. Every student that's graduated, I keep in touch with everybody via email. So if there's something that's happening in the fitness health industry, maybe an organization has a virtual conference going on, I send an email out to my entire email list. So I stay in touch with you and I check up on you. So I check up on all the students just to see how they're doing and send them a note, give me an update how your career is doing, any happenings, things like that. And I also will have past students come in and do webinars for the current students. So you might get a chance to see how that former student that I had, how they are doing in their career, and maybe if they started their own fitness business, how they did it and how they structured it and how it got set up. And then I'll also have colleagues of mine that either might be at other college universities, or they might be really well-known, successful health fitness professionals. I'll have them come in and be a guest speaker. I usually have 1 or 2 guest speakers every semester, or somebody that's going to help you in your career. I think this semester coming up, I have a lawyer coming on board so that you get a chance to see how to, if you wanted to look at how to incorporate your business, or if you wanted to learn more about trademarking a name of your company or business or the intellectual property behind it. So like if you create a Zumba class, how do you trademark Zumba and retain the intellectual property so somebody doesn't come along and try to steal it? So it's kind of like interesting topics like that to make sure that you're successful. So does anyone have any questions for me at all?
Looks like the chat is clear. So we must have answered everything, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody so much for joining us. We are just about at time. So like we said, if you have questions, as soon as you log out of the Zoom, you remember what you wanted to ask, let us know. We are always happy to help. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from both of us a whole bunch as you're getting your applications finished up for this coming year.
Yes. Thank you, Allison, for organizing this. I really appreciate it. Great job.
Thank you. Have a great night, everybody.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
You're welcome.